Hey everyone, it's Philippa here with PSP. Happy Canada Day! Woo! Go Canada! As celebration of Canada Day, I decided to make a pretty vinyasa-y, pretty sweaty flow for you to follow. Now, you don't need any experience with yoga, but be prepared because this one did make me sweat quite a bit. So bring a towel, have some water handy, and grab a couple blocks if you have any at your house because it definitely will help you out. There are a couple balance poses, but of course, just like anything else that we do, just make sure that you pause the video if you do need that little bit of break or if you need a bit more of a breather than I give, because I do flow quite quickly through this one. So just keep that in mind. It's always at your own pace, so you're in complete control of it. If you are starting out in fitness, just make sure that you are following your doctor's recommendations if you're not sure what they are. There are 2 links at the start of this video and as well in the post for this video that show you where to go to find out some information that you can bring to your doctor. Other than that, good luck, have fun, leave comments if you love it, leave comments if you don't. I'll take them all. All right, well, we'll talk to you soon. Have fun with the flow and good luck.
Okay, so today we're going to start in a wide leg child pose position. So I've got my knees nice spread nice and wide. It gives my belly space to go down. I don't recommend wearing a ball cap for a child's pose as the feet kind of gets in the way. And while we're here, we're just letting our body relax. So we're just letting it settle down towards the ground, taking nice deep breaths, filling the spaces in our back as we do these breaths. Now we are going to go into a nice side body stretch while we're in this child's pose. So if you wanted to right now and you're feeling a little tight down the sides of your body, you can take those hands to the right corner of your mat or do what I'm doing, which is just stacking my hands underneath my forehead just for a little bit of extra support just before I transition positions. So if your hands are in the right corner of your mat, you're going to continue breathing there. If your hands are not there yet, we're just going to bring the hands there now and just breathe into our ribs actually. So we're feeling the expansion in the ribs. On the next exhale, we're going to bring those hands back to center and transition all the way over to the left side. So both hands into the left corner of the mat. Again, just breathing into the rib space, just letting that side body open up. Exhaling, bring yourself back to center. We're going to bring ourselves into an elbow down cat-cow position here. This is really good for opening through the back as opposed to the shoulders. So we're inhaling, looking up towards the sky, letting our shoulder blades be pulled down towards our spine, and exhaling down towards the ground, pulling our belly button up towards the sky. So we're just going with this flow, the inhale up towards the sky, exhaling down towards the ground, pulling through that belly, getting that nice big stretch in here, and just following your own breath. Now to transition, we're going to extend those legs, bring ourselves into a front plank position, holding it for a second, exhaling down towards the ground, and then coming into a mini Sphinx pose. We actually are going to separate those feet nice and wide and come into a little bit of an up dog flow. So my hands are nice and wide in cactus pose. I'm just pressing up, getting a little bit of expansion through the chest and engaging through the spine muscle. So I'm really getting my back prepared to be flexible, and I'm just getting that nice chest opening because we're always so tight in the front side. We're going to transition here into puppy dog pose. I love puppy dog pose. So we're bringing the hips over top of our knees. We're going to extend those arms nice and far forward in front of us. If you can't bring the head down toward this ground, excellent. If you can't, that's okay. You can put a block underneath your forehead as well. We're just breathing into the space in our back. So we're trying to let the back create a nice natural curve. We're trying to draw the chest down towards the ground. If that's not where you're at, that's okay. If you're closer where I'm at, that's okay too. Beautiful. We're going to exhale, slowly wave our body up, coming into an all fours position here. There we go, into that all fours position. And here we're going to just go into a nice puppy dog arm thread. So I've got my right arm down, or left arm, sorry, threaded through that space. I've got one hand to my back, or I can take a namaste pose, just get a little deeper into the stretch. I am going to encourage you to hold it here. I do have to take a little bit of a break for myself as I do this video. It was a little bit hotter than I expected, so I did have to do a readjustment in here. I think I do it once more, but if you are starting to get warm like me, you can take this opportunity to take off a layer if you need to, or if you're like me with really long hair and you need to readjust that hairstyle, go for it here. Otherwise, we're going to bring ourselves back to that all fours position and then go right into that thread with the left side again. So if you're still in that left side, you can bring it back to that puppy dog stretch. Here I just show you what options there are available for that left side stretch. Beautiful. Extending those arms forward, bringing yourself back into that puppy dog pose as promised. We're just going to transition with the right arm threading through this time. Hand can come to that lower back or straight into that reverse namaste pose. And here we'll hold it. It's a really nice twist. We're using the core. We're going to exhale, bring ourselves back into an all fours position. And actually, no, we're going to sit down here. So I'm going to thread my hands, interlock those fingers, bring them straight up over top of my head. Another big chest opener, trying to reach those arms as high as I can. I'm rounding those arms forward here. So I'm rounding through the back, just breathing into the space in between my shoulder blades. I'm going to inhale, bring my arms back up tall. And here I take that all fours position, bringing myself into the first downward dog. Anytime you take a downward dog, feel free to pedal the legs or move the body around just to feel that opening. Beautiful. Let's bring it to a single leg extension here, opening through a hip. So we're bending that top knee and bringing the back heel towards our glutes. So a really big stretch. If you want to, you can go into that full leg extension. We're slowly turning the hips back towards the mat and gently lowering the leg down. On the next inhale, bringing the left leg up towards the sky, bending through the knee, drawing that heel towards the glutes. Nice big hip opening stretch. If you want to, you can extend that top leg. And everyone together, we're going to turn those hips back towards the mat and lower that back leg down. Gently waving our body forward into a beautiful yogic plank. And we're just going to hold plank for a second here. We're going to step both legs forward, lift the chest, exhaling down, coming into a nice ragdoll pose. Beautiful. You can bend those knees nice and deeply if you want, or keep it where I am. We're going to bring ourselves up right here. So we actually bend nice and deep through the knees and then slowly on the inhale, begin rolling each vertebrae one at a time towards the sky. Chin at the end, shoulders down the back. We're going to get a little bit more physical here. So if you need to, again, just change the clothes or adjust the hair. Like I said, it was a really hot day for me, so I did struggle a little bit with my own comfort. Here I have my producer giving me the pause / I am also the producer. So bear with me here. Grab your water if you need to and get ready to start into some nice sweaty work. So be prepared. We're going to stand at the top of our mat in a nice Tadasana pose, engaging through the core and the thighs. Hands come to heart center as we inhale towards the sky, bringing both hands together above the head. Exhaling, forward dive. Inhale, lift to that flat back position, pulling through the shoulder blades. Exhaling, step or jump those legs back into your plank pose. We do take a vinyasa, so the vinyasa is the chaturanga here, up to up dog and into downward dog. Anytime we do that, feel free to just hold the downward dog. Downward dog is always held for 5 breaths. So we just pause our body here. We really feel through the legs and feel through the upper body. Whenever you're ready, we're going to take a nice deep inhale and step or jump towards the front of our mat. Inhaling our back flat, exhaling down, bending through those knees here. Inhaling tall to the sky with both arms. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Inhale tall to the sky with those arms. Exhale, forward dive. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bringing it down. Step or jump those legs back into your plank pose. Coming down into chaturanga, this vinyasa, up to up dog. Or just holding downward dog that whole time. And we'll all meet in downward dog. We're just going to breathe through downward dog. Beautiful. On the next inhale, we're going to step or jump towards the front of our mat. Or catch mosquitoes first, of course. We're going to find ourselves in a nice ragdoll position. We're going to bend through those knees, inhaling tall to the sky, maybe wiping a couple mosquitoes off of you as well. Exhale, hands to heart center. This level gets a little bit more challenging on round 3. So we're going to inhale tall to the sky here. Exhale down. Inhale to flat back. Exhaling down, jumping back into that plank or chaturanga pose, up to up dog. We're going to inhale, bringing our body back into that downward dog. Again, we pause here for 5 breaths. Now, if you want to and you're feeling a little bit more open, you can follow what I'm doing, which is just tilting my hips to each corner of the mat, maybe bending through the knees, getting a little bit sassy with the movements. Either way, just opening through the body here, just creating a little bit more movement. If you want to step, or as I do, I jump towards the front of my mat. Oh, no, I don't, just kidding. Inhaling to a flat back, exhaling down. And whenever you're ready, bending through those knees, inhaling tall to the sky, exhale, hands to heart center. We have our Surya Namaskara B here, so we're going to inhale, bring it into chair pose. Exhale, forward dive. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bend through the knees, step it back into plank pose. Chaturanga to up dog. Exhaling into downward dog. Inhale, take that right leg forward in between those two front hands. Drop our back heel down, warrior one, turning the hips towards the front of the mat. Exhale, hands come down, back into that plank pose. Chaturanga, up to up dog, and meeting in downward dog. Taking that left leg forward in between those two front hands, drop that back heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhaling down. Bringing it back to that vinyasa, chaturanga to up dog, and back into downward dog. This is where we get to break for about 5 breaths. So take your time, pause the video if you need to take breaks at any point. This is up to you. This is your pace. I'm just helping you with a movement pattern. You can jump or step towards the front of your mat whenever you're ready or wherever we do that transition. So let's take your nice deep inhale and step towards the front of the mat. Exhaling into that nice ragdoll position. Inhaling both arms towards the sky into a nice chair pose. Exhaling, bringing ourselves back into that standing Tadasana pose. We're going to do that one more time. So we're inhaling tall to the sky. Exhaling, coming down into that chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step it back into that plank pose. Vinyasa optional here. And again, we're going to take that right leg to the sky, stepping it forward in between those two front hands, warrior one. Pausing for a breath, exhaling down. Chaturanga, up to up dog, back into downward dog. Taking the left leg forward, right heel drops down, inhaling tall, warrior one. Exhale down, back into that vinyasa, chaturanga to up dog. And finding ourselves meeting in downward dog. Again, we just pause here for about 5 breaths. So take a breather, take child's pose if you need to as well, and you don't want to pause the video. So we're going to jump or step towards the front of our mat, letting our body hang forward, nice ragdoll. Inhaling, coming into that flat back. Exhaling into the chair pose. Inhale, tall to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward dive. Inhale, stepping it back, plank pose. Chaturanga to up dog. Exhaling back into downward dog. Inhale, step our right leg forward, drop our left heel down, warrior one. Exhale, hands come down, step it back, vinyasa opportunity or downward dog. Exhale, left leg steps forward in between those two front hands, warrior one again. Exhale, hands come down, stepping it back, vinyasa optional, or you can just take your downward dog here. And we'll pause in downward dog for about 5 breaths. You might notice that your body is getting a little bit warmer, or you're able to you might even want to try and get into the twist like I have. So you take your left hand to the outside of the right calf, just pausing there for a couple of breaths. Whenever you're ready, switching hands, you take the right hand whenever you're ready and bring it to the outside of the left calf. So just a really gentle twist. It's not for too long, just to create a little bit of dynamic tension in the shoulder. Bringing it back to that downward dog. Step or jump forward to the front of your mat. Exhaling down. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, extend, and bring it back to your next Tadasana pose. Shake it out, shake it out. Maybe get a little sassy. Maybe tuck your shirt in like I am because things are flowing everywhere here. And grab your water if you are doing yoga outside like myself, because my goodness, it was about 31 degrees, I think, when they filmed this. So I had to try really hard to give myself those breaks. So we're going to go into a little bit of a chair flow here. So we're going to inhale, bring it into a chair pose. Now, when you do the chair pose, bring the feet together to start. Bring those knees together. We are going to hold this for a while. Make sure the back is nice and straight. Your chin is in a neutral position. Shoulder blades are down your back. Beautiful. Hands come to the heart center in a nice namaste pose. You know where this is going to go, right? So we're sinking down nice and deep in the knees. Then we're going to try and draw the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Beautiful. maybe taking a smile like I have here. You can also lift the heel on the right side and you get a little bit more depth with this one. So if you're having trouble getting your elbow to the outside of the knee, just do a little bit of a heel lift and you'll get nice and deep into it. Exhale, bringing it back to center, nice flat back. Exhaling over to the left side. So this time it's the right elbow on the outside of the left knee. Now if you want to, left heel can come off the ground, giving you a little bit more range and you can reach a little bit easier with that elbow. Good. I know you're feeling the burn because I bet you I was at this time too. We're going to exhale, forward dive, just letting our body hang. We are going to do a little bit of more of a release here as well. So we're just going to take those hands behind our back, interlock the fingers, pull those arms together and let our body round forward here. Really nice opening. Now I try and bend through my knee and draw my shoulder towards that same knee. So right side, right shoulder to right knee, sorry. And you just get a really nice deep stretch in there. That's completely optional. You can just keep it to the forward fold with the arms falling over top if you want to. The other thing, if you can't reach those hands together, just drop the elbows. Whenever you're reading, releasing those arms, letting your body roll all the way up. We're going to inhale tall to the sky here. Exhale, forward dive. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we're going to step or jump it back into our plank pose. Beautiful. We're going to bring it into downward dog right away here. We're not even going to do the vinyasa. We're going to hold downward dog just to give ourselves that little bit of a break. I know chair pose compresses a lot of the hamstrings, so this is just to open it up. We're going to wave our body forward into a plank pose. And then we're going to wave it back. So the way you wave it forward is the exact same way you wave it back. So one vertebrae at a time rounding towards the sky, and then on the way back, one vertebrae at a time rounding towards the sky, bringing it into downward dog. This is such a good core exercise. It's functional, dynamic core. You can do any core exercise. This is a really good one to do. We're going to inhale, lift our right leg towards the sky. Nice downward dog splits here. And we're going to step it forward to the ground. Our back knee drops down here. We're going to bring both arms towards the sky. Really big hip opening here. We're just breathing into that hip space. If you want to work a little bit harder, that back knee can lift as I'm demoing here. I was a little bit warm, so I'm going to keep it pretty easy on myself. So I bring both hands down. This time I'm going to reach my right arm towards the sky, just in a gentle twist. Back knee can stay on the ground for this one, or you can keep it lifted as I have. Sorry, and finding ourselves in downward dog. We're going to reach that right leg towards the sky this time, just to release it. And then left leg comes up towards the sky. Here we're going to hold that downward dog tripod, or the three-leg downward dog. We're going to slowly step that left leg forward in between those two front hands. Back knee comes down. Inhale, both arms towards the sky. Again, really big hip stretch. That's all we're looking at here, is creating range in our hip and creating a little bit of space in our front. Hands come down. We're lifting through that back knee. Left arm comes towards the sky. A nice twisted lunge. Just breathing into the twist. Exhaling, hand comes down. We're going to step that back leg up towards the sky, or sorry, the left leg up towards the sky, and then we bring that leg down. Finding ourselves back into downward dog. We're going to slowly wave our body forward, bringing that right leg forward again. So this time we're taking a high lunge, and we're going to just transition that into warrior two. So I've just dropped my back heel down, lining my front arch of the front foot up with the back arch. And here I'm just taking on a little bit of a flow. So it's my sassy flow. I'm bringing it into that back exalted warrior position, into the extended side angle at the front. Now the legs shouldn't be changing too much position here. It's just the upper body that should be moving. You should be able to comfortably be with your legs, so you shouldn't be able to have to take those extra little movements to move those legs back together to get into a different position. We're just going to take a really deep extended side angle here, or actually bird of paradise. So if you do take bird of paradise, great. If you don't, you're just going to take or try and attempt the bind. So I've just taken the right hand underneath the right leg and bring my left arm behind my back. If I can reach those fingertips together, wonderful. That's where you're going to stay. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, you take the left leg, bring it forward, and slowly extend up. We're going to slowly extend through the right leg. I don't even think I do this long today. My leg is just so tired. And here I am just trying to manage balance. And that could be where you're at as well. Just remember, if you do suddenly fall, just release the hands, because your face will take your fall. We're going to step the left leg back again, finding yourself back into the bind. Those that held the bind the whole time, you guys are doing really good. I know that's not an easy position, so just keep holding. We're going to release those hands, surround that front foot with our hands. We're going to back into a nice high plank position, into chaturanga, up to up dog, and back into that downward dog. Just breathing here. We're going to do a little bit of tricep work. So we're going to work a little bit in dolphin. So my elbows are going to drop down towards the ground here. And I'm going to try and press both elbows off the ground at the same time. If that doesn't work here, I show you single elbow lift. That's all you need to be doing. And that's all it helps. It all helps to build us up for those balance poses, those arm poses we all love to try and get to. Beautiful. We're going to drop both elbows on the ground here and try and take into an elbow stand. If you're like me, you're just going to do a couple of kicks on each side. So I do 2 kicks on each side. I think I do a third here because I was feeling pretty good. Then I take it back to the dolphin pose. Dolphin pose is able to be held the whole time if you'd want instead of the kick-ups. We're going to bring it back into downward dog here. Stepping our left leg forward this time. We're coming into warrior 1 just to transition into warrior 2. So dropping the back heel down, arms come up to the shoulder line. We're going to exalted warrior it back on an inhale, exhaling, bringing it forward into that extended side angle. Good. And following your breath work here and just going with the flow. This is a really nice flow. It kind of just feels right on the body when you're doing it. There's no judgment on how your body is looking while you're doing this. You're just doing the best of your abilities. Beautiful. The next time that we're going to bring those arms forward, we are going to find that nice bind position. So we're going to let those hands stick all the way down to the ground here. One arm comes up to the sky. That same right arm comes behind your back if you want to. Left arm comes off the ground and reaches for the right arm behind the back. So here we are in the bind. You can take the bind or hold it the whole time. If you want to try bird of paradise for stepping the back leg forward, beautiful. And then we're slowly lifting up and extending through that left leg if you can. Oh, there we go. We're trying to maintain balance. If you can't do anything, it's just maintaining the balance with one leg off the ground in this little bit of unique movement for our body. Whenever you're ready, we're going to drop the extended leg down. We're going to step back with the right leg, finding our bind once more. If you're ready to, you can release that bind or you can hold it just a little bit longer. It's up to you. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, you're going to surround that front foot with your hands and we're going to bring it into a downward dog. Oh, I'm a liar. We're going to bring it into a chaturanga to up dog first, but you can always hold that downward dog. It is a nice recovery pose as I do take it here as well. Good. Again, dropping it down to those elbows. We have that little bit of shoulder work here. So you can hold the downward dog the whole time. I transition between downward dog and plank, or sorry, dolphin pose and plank. So I'm just stepping my feet back about 3 inches and letting my hips come down, plank pose. Then I'll step my feet forward about 3 inches and I'll bring it into the dolphin pose. And this can be you as well if you want to, and you can keep doing that or you can do the kick-ups like I really am trying to get into that shoulder stand position. It's just not going to happen for me today, and that's okay. It's all about trying because that's just as much work as actually getting into the pose. Whenever you're ready, you're going to find your downward dog, wave your body forward into that plank position, and bring it back into the downward dog. So these are those wave planks we were working on, waving it forward, beautifully wave one vertebrae at a time. And this time we're going to jump our legs or step towards the front of the mat. Letting our body round and ragdoll. Hands come behind the back, that nice, beautiful shoulder stretch. And again, you can pedal through the knees, drawing the shoulders towards the opposite knees, or sorry, to the same side knee. It's up to you if you want to just hold that forward fold or just hold ragdoll because this is a challenging workout. So do take the breaks when you feel comfortable to take them. Releasing those hands down towards the ground. We're going to slowly bring our body upright and shake it out. Do your silly dance. Get a little sassy with it. I'm quite sassy in this yoga practice as I'm watching it. So be just as sassy as you want to. Grab water if you are doing it outside like myself, or just grab water if you need to. Here we go. Let's find a nice Tadasana pose. We're going to take a nice chair pose here. So sweeping the ground with those fingertips, we're going to inch those feet in, sinking nice and low on our chair. Hands come together, point towards the sky because that's as high as you want to go. You might want to do a little hip shake like I was doing, a little wiggle, just to see how it feels. It's all about the core whenever you do a wiggle in the hips here. We're going to bring our belly towards our thighs and extend the legs here. Again, bringing it back into a nice chair pose. We're going to take palm tree arms. So we're doing some latissimus dorsi work. So we're inhaling towards the sky with those arms, exhaling down, elbows toward the outside of the ribs. We're going to forward dive here. Exhaling, bringing our left leg back and dropping that back knee down. Hands come on top of that front thigh. Again, really big hip opening here. Letting those hips drift forward, making sure that front knee doesn't overexceed those toes of the front foot. Beautiful. If you do have back knee pain, do what I have done, which is put your toes into the mat. And it does prevent a lot of that knee pain. We're going to extend through that front leg, fold our body forward. So we're prepping for splits pose. If splits is not part of your practice, which it isn't part of a lot of people's practice, and that's okay, this is where you're going to go. So we're just holding that beautiful forward flexion. We're going to bend through that front knee, hands come on top of that front thigh again. If you want to, you can take the same position as we did earlier or grab that back foot into a beautiful thigh stretch here. So I'm just pulling that foot in as close as comfortable. I've got my opposite arm up towards the sky just to create a little bit of more dynamic balance tension. And we're just breathing here. Hands come back down to the mat, extending through that front leg. Now, as I mentioned, if splits is part of your practice, you can take it here. If splits is not part of your practice, just continue doing what I've demoed. Or if you're in that middle stage like I am, I'm just attempting to get down to that splits pose. And I'm just going to hold it. If I had blocks, I'd probably put blocks underneath my hands. I'm a little bit low there for my own comfort. And the worst part about splits is always getting out of it. So if you found a cool way to get out of it, do let me know, because there's not really a good demonstration that I'll give you today for this one. Bringing it back into our downward dog position. Whew, feels nice after the splits, because now I have one really open leg and one not so open leg. Stepping our right leg forward, left leg forward this time, bringing our right knee back onto the ground. Hands come on top of that front thigh. Again, just letting our hips drift forward, really getting that nice big opening. I did have trouble balancing with this side because it is still a balance pose. This is still work that we're doing here. But again, we get a lot more opening with this type of work. So here we're going to go move our hips backwards. Hands come around that front thigh as we come into that nice extended, this is called intense forward stretch or bent knee forward stretch. Toes can be pointed towards the ground or towards the sky. It's up to you. If you're a runner, I recommend doing it the way I've demonstrated it. If you're not so much of a runner, toes towards the sky, you'll get a deeper stretch. We're going to bend through that bring yourself back forward. We're going to bend through the back knee here and try and grab that back foot with our right hand. Now, this is completely optional again. If you're like me and you do have a little bit of knee discomfort when you do this, and it doesn't matter if it's on one side or the other, you just fold up the mat a little bit, create a little bit of cushion, and et voila. Feels super nice to do this stretch. I'm reaching my left arm towards the sky here just to get a little deeper into that front body stretch. Just breathing here. Exhaling, releasing that back leg. If splits is part of your practice, this is your chance to take it here. Splits is not. We're just going into that nice forward or intense forward stretch with that front leg. Beautiful. Gracefully bringing those legs back into a comfortable position or unfolding the mat. If you had taken that fold with the mat with me, we're going to find ourselves in downward dog. Step nice and wide on the mat. So I've hopped forward. You can always step forward with those legs. My feet are about mat width apart. I'm coming into a nice namaste pose with my hands, elbows pressing onto the inside of the thighs, and I'm trying to get my back really straight as much as possible by lifting my chest here. So this is a tough position. A lot of us can't hold this position without that pressure on the inside of the legs, but we really should be focusing on rolling those thighs towards the outside of the mat and using the glutes and the thighs to open the legs. If you want, you can take a little sassy balance. I take a version of crow pose here. So I've just leaned my body forward and let my knees, technically they're supposed to rest on the back of my arms. I always find that really uncomfortable, so I take it a little bit wider than normal. Regardless, it still works the same way. You're balancing on the arms, the core is doing the work, you're focusing, you're breathing here. You can always just hold that low garum squat. Sorry. Beautiful. Maybe flexing out the wrist. We have done a lot of chaturangas today, so your wrist might be a little sore. Beautiful. Turning the palms towards the sky as you bring the back of the hands down into the ground. Hands come back down towards the ground. We're going to bring it back into a downward dog. Beautiful. And here we're going to take a handstand practice. So if you are a handstand practicer like myself, you bring those feet and knees nice and close together, and we're going to jump and kick our bum as we come up. The more we do this, the more we're ready to take that handstand position. But again, you don't have to actually get into the position to practice the position, as I'm demonstrating here. Beautiful. I'm just pedaling my legs here, maybe turning my hips, getting a nice side body stretch. So I've just turned my hips, I peek underneath my armpit on that side, and my goodness, you're going to feel that all the way from the wrist down to the ankle. Finding yourself back into downward dog, we're going to step those legs forward. We're coming into a nice hand massage. So we step on top of the hands, palms up. Now you're using your toes to actually massage your hands and your wrists. You do not have to have your legs straight. My legs could be just as bent here. The goal isn't for a hamstring, it's just for the hands. So slowly on the next exhale, rolling the body up to a standing position. We are going to start a little bit more of our cool down movements here. So yay, you've made it through all the hard stuff, and yay, Philippa on the screen, you made it through all the hard stuff. You got this. Hands come to heart center, inhaling tall to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, tall to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, tall to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center as we fold forward to a nice straight back. Exhaling, rounding down. Bending through the knees, stepping back into that chaturanga. Inhale, tall to the sky. Exhale, back into that downward dog. So we're going to step our right leg forward on the outside of our hands. We're coming into lizard pose. So if people know lizard pose, it's a version of pigeon pose. So it works to stretch out those nice tight hip muscles, but it's really safe for the knee. So you just step your foot really wide. Hands can come down or elbows down. And if you want a little bit of help, you take that right hand to the inside of the right knee and just gently open that leg to the side. So you get a little deeper into the stretch this way. It's a really beautiful stretch. So just breathe through it. Take it at your own pace. You do not have to go deep as I am in this position. Hand comes back down beside that front leg. We're going to lift through the back leg, sliding our front leg to the back and switching sides here. So we just take the left leg to the outside of the left wrist. We straighten through the back leg, and then we sink down onto our elbows or wherever you're comfortable going. The left hand finds its place on the inside of the left leg. We're just gently pressing that left knee towards the outside of the mat. So we're getting a really deep stretch. Again, just going to the point where you're comfortable. You don't have to go as deep as I am. You can go to whatever your body lets you go to. Remember, yoga is about those 70% edges. So just getting to the edge of when you start to feel things and just holding it there, and then allowing your body to get deeper as you feel that release occurring. Bring the both hands down towards the mat again, stepping that front leg back, coming into that plank pose, just to round back into a downward dog. We're going to walk our hands towards our feet. Just let our body hang here. Breathing. Nice deep breaths here. Beautiful. So we're going to practice a little bit of the handstand. All this is a rock. So we take our hands about a foot in front of us and we rock to our tippy toes on our back feet. This is just getting us prepared for what the feeling of those handstands could be, as well as it gives us a guide on if we're ready to take it. So whatever depth you need to do your handstand pulses on, this is what I would call these, the handstand pulse. But again, it shouldn't be too hard because we're not taking that full handstand. We're just rocking forward onto those hands, noticing how the weight feels. Exhaling, bring yourself back. Taking the arms at the elbows and just letting the body hang in a nice ragdoll. Maybe rocking a bit side to side. Maybe shaking the head yes or no. Beautiful. Exhale, lift the chin away from the chest. We're going to walk those hands back out slightly here into a very high downward dog. So if you notice, all the weight is on my heels for this downward dog, and my fingers aren't doing much work. So I'm just getting that straight back position. Beautiful. Let's walk it out a little bit further. We're coming into that full plank here. This is just a transition. We're going to roll over to the left side for a nice side plank. We always have to include side plank movements into our workout routines. It's usually the weakest core muscle we have. Exhaling, bringing it back forward. Inhale, bringing it back over to the right side. Nice side plank here, stacking those arms on one another, keeping the back and spine nice and straight. Bringing it back into that forward plank, and then bringing it into a seated position. So just dropping the knees down, and then just bring the legs forward. We're coming into Janu Sirsasana, or just a nice forward stretch here. So I've taken my left foot, tucked it in towards my right thigh, interlocked my fingers, and exhaled and leaned forward on top of my leg. You might not get as to the deep depth that I have, and that's okay. You might get deeper than I have, and that's okay. If you do find that you need a little bit more anchorage and you are more flexible than I am, use your block underneath your foot and extend to that level. Inhale, lifting it back up. We're just going to switch sides here. So we extend our left leg, take our right foot, tuck it in towards the inner thigh. I just go into the forward fold, but by all means, take those hands, interlock those fingers above your head, and extend that body forward just to where you're comfortable going. So remember, it's the shoulders and hips should be facing in the same directions. Beautiful. Let's bring those feet together. Bottoms of the feet together, knees are nice and wide. I'm just opening the feet by manually moving them with my hands, opening them to the side, and then I extend my arms forward. So this is our forward stretch. This is really nice deep groin stretch. It is technically butterfly pose without the butterfly movement, without those bounces. So we're just rounding here and just letting your body sink down. Letting your body resume to its natural heart rate and its breathing rate. That's what all these stretches are for. On the next inhale, slowly walking the hands back towards the feet. We're going to bring ourselves into one more balance pose. So we bring our body forward, keeping our feet pressed together. So the toes are the only thing contacting the mat here. This is quite challenging. So if you do find you're a bit wibbly, that's okay. The goal here is to keep those knees nice and wide, stay on the balance points of the toes, making sure the heels stay in contact with one another, and hands are out by your knees, palms facing away from your body. You can take a mudra as I've done here. So I've brought my thumb and forefinger together. It's about a grounding mudra, so it's about centering yourself. Again, just focusing on that balance is quite challenging. If you want to make it even harder for yourself, you find it easy, just close your eyes here. Bring the hands back down to the mat. We're going to bring ourselves into a tabletop position just to transition. Oh, no, we're actually going into frog pose here, my mistake. So opening those knees nice and wide. Your hips and knees should stay in the same alignment as best as possible. So I don't have a lot of blocks, but if I did, I'd probably put blocks underneath my chest here or underneath my inner thighs. Now I'm just going to walk my hips back slightly. This isn't always recommended, but this works for my body. You can always stay in the position you were in before, but I find that I get a little bit of a deeper stretch without having to work as hard as I am in traditional frog pose. Moving the body forward, coming belly down, bringing the feet together. So we're coming into a reverse position here. We've just done this one on the front side. We're just reversing it. So we're working on external rotation for the thighs. And then we're going to work a little bit on internal rotation. So we bring the knees closer together and let those feet fall towards the outside edges of your mat. Ideally, it should be just at the wideness of the mat with your feet. So again, just moving the legs in and out, just letting those hips open naturally for internal rotation, coming back into those feet together, knees apart position for that one final external rotation encouragement. Beautiful. And then here we're going to go back onto our back. Oof. It has been one warm workout. So we're coming back onto our back really gently, using our core to lower ourselves back down, bringing the knees towards the chest, just releasing that lower back a little bit if you need to, rocking a little bit side to side for that lower back massage. Letting the arms come to the shoulder line and just letting the knees fall to one side of your mat. If you want to, and this is not enough of a stretch for you, you can always do the full leg extension. So you take the side of the leg, extend it out, and then straighten through that bottom leg. Again, we're just holding this position, head turning towards the opposite side of the mat as your legs, and just breathing into this gentle stretch. It shouldn't be painful, and it shouldn't be pins or needles anywhere. So you're just going to that 70% edge like I mentioned before. Rolling yourself back onto your back again, maybe doing a little bit of that knees to chest release before letting the knees fall into the opposite side of your mat. Now you can keep the knees bent together with the knees up by the belly button line, or if you wanted to, again, you can go into that straight leg extension. I think I kind of had to use the wall here, and then that bottom leg would extend down. Whichever works for you. It's just for that nice, really big stretch. I find the leg extended stretch does give you a little bit more of an IT band stretch. Rolling back onto your back. Now we're coming into our final Shavasana pose. So you can bring those